Hey, good morning, guys. I'm just here just to actually have a creative play date with you. This week, I am really looking at resistance and procrastination and how that is like really keeping me from my creative practice and blocking me from my creative goals. And I see that in order for me to get through this or move on is that I really have to take action and kind of have accountability. So I'm going to have a creative play date with you guys just to show you how I move from procrastination and resistance. For me, the problem is, I feel like an imposter. My art really sucks. And I have a lot of this negative self-talk that really brings me down, and then I'm not able to sit down and focus because all of the negative conversation in my head is actually keeping me from doing the work. And then there's other things that are going on in the world around us and then in my personal life that really keeps me from moving forward. And I have like these vicious circles where I'm obsessing and I feel uncertain about my goals and the things that I need to move forward. And for me, the only solution to doing that is like breaking that pattern and that cycle for me was actually, getting involved with a creative community and connecting with a creative coach and really building up connecting to the why I want to be an artist and why I'm doing it for. And I used to struggle with all this. I quit more times than I can even tell you guys because I would look at my art and it's like, oh, it sucks and it's just not good. And I'm not this like perfect I'm not this perfect artist. I'm never gonna be like I'm not gonna be like all of these other famous artists, and I'm not going to be able to create the work in the world that I want to do. But that's just a lie that I keep on telling myself, because I have learned now from creating the support and creating the system and creating the habits that I can actually really do that. And I know a few of you have, I got to show you some of the, where I started from and where I'm at now. And I'm not at the level that I want to be, but I see the progress, which keeps me inspired. And one of the best examples that I show people is that these were the first maple leaves that I created. And they were just god awful and in my mind. But I sat down and did it anyway. I got frustrated. I walked off and I'm like, this is it. I can't draw a maple leaf. And this is the end of my, my career, creative dreams. But that wasn't true. That's not reality. That was just me believing something. And then when I went out for my walk, there was a maple leaf that was on a tree and I just plucked it. And then this is what my maple leaves ended up being after I sat down after a kind of meltdown and then really observed a leaf from the tree that I plucked outside. So I wanted to come on here. I'm gonna switch views. I'm not gonna be able to, I'm gonna switch views. Hopefully I don't make you motion sickness, but I wanted to show you one of my simple exercises that I do from actually just breaking the cycle and moving forward. Because I'm gonna be honest with you. As you guys know, my big thing right now is my analogous color research that I'm developing. This is my intensive level 2 class for my color research. I've already done the monochromatic for the color research class, and now I'm diving into level 2. And I've only finished 3 pages, and I have 100 of these to go. And I have been working on them for a few minutes at a time, but I'm having a real struggle to create that creative habit to just sit there and create. So I'm gonna switch the camera. I'm going to get you on my art station so that way I can actually show you what I do and how I do it. So that way you guys can see that procrastination and resistance takes all forms, whether it's cleaning the house, taking care of whatever priorities you think are higher than your art or your own goals or your own mission in life. And so yeah, we'll get started with that. Do my best. So there's that 15-minute, this is the exercise that I do to just break out of my own creative rut. As you can see, that's what I did yesterday. Yesterday I played with masking fluid again, and I really enjoyed that. I didn't have a lot of time because I had classes that I was taking, and they actually, my classes went 2.5 hours longer than I thought they would. So my day is dated already, and I'm definitely feeling resistance. I started working on this on Monday, which is like, 4 days ago. And all I did was put down my yellow paint, and I haven't visited that since Monday. Now, I have done these, and I have been working on these every day, but I haven't been going the next extra step. Now, granted, if I'm not looking at it from a judgmental standpoint, I have been in classes learning leadership, and those do take a lot of they take many hours of our days, and then there's like assignments and different things that I'm working on. So it really kind of blocks. So now I'm gonna dive in, and because now I know one thing that is blocking me from my color research is I actually started with colors that I'm not in love with. But that's a part of that is a part of the process. You have to be willing to work with things that you don't necessarily love. And you have to be willing to explore those kind of things, because there could be like really happy accidents that you might find. And I'm just gonna create a couple colors here in my palette, so that way there we go. Just playing with a couple colors, not doing these 15-minute studies. They're really not about anything other than playing and just getting through the creative blocks. Because right now, I'm sitting here and I'm like, am I wasting my time? Like, I'm miserable because I want to create art, but then I don't make the time to create art. And I struggle with the belief that I can actually make this work for me. And I'm in that, that constant state of what if? And that's just not a good place, that's just not a really good place to be. So this really helps me create no matter what. And it really helps me build these creative muscles. And as you can see, it's not like I'm drawing perfect. I'm not taking a lot of time fussing over any of this. I'm really just putting the outline, erasing some of the color. Because at this point, if I'm starting with an agenda or looking out, like I want to create something pretty or just something else, I'm only thinking about my negative space. And that's really all I'm doing with this exercise. So I have sketched out, a little cup. On this side, I'm going to do a little cup on this side. The best thing that ever, it really helped me. The best thing I ever did was I found, I made this a priority for me. And, this, regardless of whether I make this a successful career or not, art makes me very happy. It helps me with my anxiety. It does so many wonderful benefits for me and my life, but it all, that happiness also translates into my family. It translates into my relationships, because why is my husband or my sons or any other family member of mine, why is their dreams and hope more important than mine? why are my dreams not valid? Am I scared that I'm just not capable and that I'm never going to achieve it? Yes, that's one answer. And that is definitely something I think about. But who judges my success? Like, who really determines what makes me successful, who makes me successful? I get to determine all of those successful facts. And it used to oh, hey, I have to be able to earn, I have to be able to have all these companies want to publish my books or, and all of these different things. But that's not true. I can self-publish my books. I can still get them to my grandkids and still leave a legacy. I don't need anyone to validate me, my art, or my things. I'm able to create just because I want to. I don't need to validate what I love and what I want to do with my life. And that's been a real game changer for me. And so I may never be a famous artist, but that doesn't mean that that's the only way to be successful as an artist. To me now, what success looks like is me creating and painting every day. Painting, whether it's ugly, pretty, whether I have an idea, it's just a priority in my life because it fills me with joy and it makes me happy. And I was able to release that pressure of being perfect and successful, and because that's all just a belief. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is work on the negative space of the painting, and I'm hoping that you can see that pretty well because I'm unable to look at that from that angle, so I will just come up here. There we go. And see if I can pull that up. How about that? All right. So now you guys can see it on there. All right. I will try to get that. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to do the negative space because I struggle with the negative space the most. And yesterday I was using the Frisket, which was really nice. One thing I want to mention now that I'm painting and doing this is that you'll notice in your sketchbooks that one side of your paper has a different texture than another. And it's really clear and apparent once you start putting down your washes, which I have found really interesting since learning about that, because you would figure that both sides of your paper would have the same texture, but they really don't. And a lot of people argue that you can use both sides of the paper, and you really can, but the outcome's going to be different because of the texture. Now, because of the size of my journal, I'm using different stroke directions, but I try to avoid that. There we go. And I decided to use a square brush this time, but that is definitely challenging for me. It does help with the washes, but it kind of makes the round. There we go. And as you can see, I'm just using the corner of the brush. The round is so much better for this, going around the cup and outlining it. And as you can see, I went over the line. No big deal. I'll move my teacup. And when the watercolor is wet, you can actually go back in there and lighten that up, take it out, and then you can go back in and touch up those lines where your paper towel kind of crossed, and bam. And now I am going to go ahead and grab my round. So I do not want to go inside that small little space with that square brush. But this is the fun thing. So this morning, like you see, it took me what, like just a couple minutes to make this shape of the cup. And I have practiced viewing the negative space and creating that negative space versus looking at the shape of the cup. And here I will go ahead and let that dry. And then on the other side, I'm going to, I'm going to challenge myself once more. I'm going to go for that larger brush. And at this point, I don't think I have enough green to actually paint the cup. So I'm just going to add a little bit more green, because you want to make sure that you have enough paint, so that way you're not mixing more color in between. There we go. And then I am going to paint the inside of my cup. And I try to work quickly. My heat is on, so I'm trying to work quickly before my watercolor dries too much, because your washes are better. Actually, that wasn't too bad. Now the green that I'm using actually granulates, so it's going to provide texture and give like natural, there we go. And then I'm going to use my round again, and I'm using this new round that I've never used before, just to see what it's like and what shapes I can get out of it. And as you can see, this is just a short, fast exercise. I'm not thinking, I'm not caring about the results. I'm strictly looking at the negative space, and that's really all I'm doing, is just checking out that negative space. And I do see there's a line that I missed, so I'm just darkening my lines. There we go. And I'm going to let that dry as well. So as you can see, that took me just a few minutes. And I didn't think about it, but now I'm actually creating, and I'm in the zone. And I'm just like, well, now this is drying. What's next? So this is where I slide into, there we go. This is where I'm sliding into my real project, because now my other sheet's drying. I've already got some momentum with the exercise that helped me through my creative block and helped me move forward. I'm just adding a little bit more yellow because I want my tint to be a little darker. There we go. Now I'll just blend my yellow there. And yellow is one of the toughest colors for me. I have like a real love-hate relationship with yellow. I love yellow, but it's a real challenge for me to use. There we go. And I'm just mixing a little yellow in both of those. because I will go ahead and grab my graphite. Add a little, ooh, that was a lot of graphite. Ooh, okay, that was a lot. Oh yeah, there we go. And what I can do there is I will just take a little bit of the yellow, go back in. That's more of what I was looking for. And get my graphite down. And as you can see, I went to the next easiest step, and that is creating my color palettes. And so I'm looking at, I'm strictly just looking at doing the simple part and building on, so what I'm doing, because when I keep things technical, I'm less attached to the outcome. And when I start my creative practice with an easy thing that's not attached to an outcome or a final project, and I'm just working out the first concepts, that just works so much easier for me. And it really helps break, well, for this, it's breaking up the white space on the page. It's helping me get a little bit more familiar with the color, how it's working, what it's doing. And so this is some of the first steps for me. So I am working with 3 different colors this time. Well, I'm working with analogous colors, so it's going to be 3 either way. All right. So I will go with the next color. And here, I'm going to come on over here and just kind of work that. I find, there we go. Just getting that color down. And then making a little bit more. There we go. So that way I can get my purest color on there. 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 And now what I'll do is I'm going to clean out that little well. There. And just go into the next color. Oh yeah, that one worked out good. It's a little bit more gray. It doesn't, like one of the lessons that I'm learning right here, it does not take a lot of pigment for that color right there. Like it does not take a lot of pigment at all. It's really strong, it's really bright, it's really bold. I like that. I do love greens, all forms of greens. So the greens are a little bit easier for me to create and paint and enjoy. So I'm just gonna get my brush a little wet. There we go. That's about right. Yeah, I like that. And maybe a little more. There. There we go. And now this one here, I can already tell that this color doesn't granulate. It's really strong, it's really bold, it's really bright. It doesn't need a lot of pigment, and you can get oversaturated pretty quick. I'm just gonna grab my other palette, my third color, and go ahead and, oh yeah, I'm gonna do the tint first. There we go. There. And now I'll just go ahead and darken that up, get some really rich pigment. And this color is definitely vibrant and dark and really saturated, so it is not going to take much. And as you can see, like, whoo, it is bright, but that's okay. This is what the learning process is all about. So I'm just gonna make 2 different wells here with that same color that I made. There we go. And when I want to lighten that color, I kind of dry my brush out and then create a new pool with a less saturated color. There we go. And so at this point, you know, I've already stopped thinking all the negative thoughts because now I'm into my project and I'm ready to create. Like now I can sit here and work on work on this and move forward with this. And now, you know, I'm not fighting the thoughts. I'm not thinking about the things that I haven't done. I'm not thinking about like where I want to be or where I want to go. And I'm not having, you know, I'm not stuck anymore. I set up my creative space. You know, I've created some accountability for myself, just coming on here and, you know, just showing you my creative practice. And I'm not thinking about the uncertainty about my artistic goals. And I'm not miserable because I want to create and I'm not creating. So I've like really worked through those kind of things with just doing that. And what I'll do is I'm going to come back over here. And I'm going to work on, there we go. I'm going to work on just adding some more line. My favorite paintbrushes are far, far away. And I don't have them with me, which makes me sad because I'm actually painting on the other desk, but I needed to set this up. And I'm going to come back in here. This one, because I don't have my fine brushes in my jar over here. I don't have that fine brush. So now what I'm gonna do, well, actually, you know what? I don't have to use watercolor. Why not use a marker or a pen? Yeah, let's go ink today. I haven't tried ink in a while. Now, my stuff isn't fully dried. And I don't want to ruin my pens, so I'm just going to hit my things with a heat torch. Now all I'm doing is like hitting it with a blow dryer. You guys just don't see that. I'm off camera. I'm sorry about that, but my blow dryer doesn't reach that far. But I want to make sure that I'm not ruining my Copic markers, which are water resistant. And all I'm doing now is just kind of going over the cup lines. because I give myself 15 minutes for these little cups. Now this one I could actually leave without the ink because I didn't paint the negative space, and I could have left the other one too. But I like adding some fun details. And as you can see, I'm not worried about the perfection. I'm not even like tracing the lines perfectly. And I know that I like playing with the shadow side. I do want to add shadow to that now that I have my lines and different things like that. I'm gonna just pick up some more of that paint there. And I already have the grays and the black mixed into here. Ooh. There we go. And as you can see, I didn't dunk it back into the pigment. And I want a little bit, so let's dry that off. I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of that pigment and saturate my brush. Come back in here with that graphite. Because I want a little bit of that green in the center here, and I'm gonna try to avoid those lines because I know that they're not fully dry yet. And I'm gonna come in here, just add a little bit to that. Now this is where I can decide to like go ahead and pick up a new paintbrush that I haven't used before. Pick that up, dunk that in, and like I'll go ahead and I'm gonna actually, you know what? I'm gonna do leaves. I was gonna do flowers, but I'm more called to the leaf. Ooh, I can already tell that this brush, it does not work like my favorite brushes. And I just let go of that. You know, that's the great thing about practicing with the new brushes. You learn how their bristles work, and you know what you can and can't do with them. And I see that these bristles work really unique. There we go. Yeah, I'm not certain that I'll be in love with this paintbrush. As you can see, I'm struggling here, and that's okay. If I was using my normal bristles, it would give me a completely different shape. And I'm totally not in love with this piece at all anymore. I mean, not that I was like in love. This is a Winsor Newton professional watercolor sable. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pick up some more gray, a lot more gray, and I'm just gonna pick up some of that green color. There we go. And get that mixed up. And because the other cup, it's so dark, I'm gonna need a lot of paint. All right, so I'm gonna kind of come over here and see if I might be able to get this paintbrush to do any other, like really kind of focus on how I need to use the pressure in order to create the shapes that I want. Because that's, you know, like it doesn't matter the paintbrush It's about learning how to apply the pressure, how much ink is on it. Not ink, paint. And really getting familiar enough to how to use that brush and manipulate it to get the you know, what you're trying to paint, the outcome. All right. Yeah. And I think I'm going to kind of stop right there. Maybe. There we go. And so that is kind of how I'm going to leave this project here, but this is the thing. So this is the thing. So now I have spent at least 15 minutes here creating. I have learned more about color mixing. I have learned more about new brushes that I have never painted with before. I learned more information about the new brushes, the pigments, how much water, how potent the pigments are, and I learned a little bit more understanding with trying to get the washes level with doing the negative space. And I've just continued to kind of move forward with some of the things that I'm really wanting to learn in this project. So I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm gonna do a glaze here. It's called glazing. I'm just doing a little bit of glazing, and I'm going to add a little shadow. I'm gonna dry that so it doesn't run, because with watercolor you have to make sure it's dry so that way your pigments don't move around. There we go. Because when your pigments aren't dry, you're working with wet on wet techniques, and I don't want the wet on wet techniques. I want to do a glazing here. It's actually a wash, and then over the foliage that I created, it is actually going to be a glaze. There we go. And I'm going to hit that one more time down here. And this is what I use. This is the method that I use to stop my creative block when I'm alone and I don't have support and I don't have the community that I need to keep me going. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it sparks you to come back to your creative practice and let go of that judgment and that creative overwhelm that we kind of create for ourselves because we feel so far behind, and not liking what we create, and letting go of just letting go of those expectations, and actually getting, instead of just sitting here and not creating art, we can actually focus on just one little thing to help us keep our, creative momentum going. And so I hope you enjoyed today's little creative workshop, and I hope to see you guys create today. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.